Good morning, yarny friends. Welcome to my Yarn and Crochet, or Crochet and Yarn, YouTube channel. I am the host, the Yarn Geek, and I'm here to guide you through the magical world of crochet and yarn. You guys, it is so hot right now in this. I am sweating. So anyway, today I'm going to show you how to make this headband. And in another video, I'm going to show you how to make this scarf. But these are both very simple, easy, beginner level projects that are super fast to make and super easy. So without further ado, let's get started. Whew, that was hot. So to start out with, I'm going to use the same yarn that I used to make this scarf and this headband, but it's going to be a different color. And let me find where it is. It is Hobie Lollipop, and this is a 4-weight yarn. It is made in Turkey, designed in Scandinavia. Not that that makes any difference, but it is Hobie yarn and it's wonderful. It recommends on the thing here to use a 6mm crochet hook. Since we are going to be using the single crochet, I'm using a bigger hook because I don't want the stitches to be as tight. I want them to be a little looser. So we are going to use a 7mm crochet hook. Also, this yarn is 20% wool, 80% acrylic. And if you don't have this exact yarn, or you don't have access to any Hobie yarn, I will put the Hobie link down in the description below. And also I will put a link to Yarn Sub. That's a website that you can go on to look for yarns that are similar to this. So, okay, let's get started. Alrighty, here we go. For this project, like I told you before, we're gonna need a 4-weight yarn. This is 20% wool, 80% acrylic. You can use 100% acrylic. I wouldn't necessarily go with 100% wool because if you wash it, it's gonna shrink down really far. I know this from experience. So I would just start out with a 4-weight acrylic or some kind of blend. Okay, so I'm going to take this label off, and I'm going to pull from the outside this time just because it's already got this loose stuff going here, so I'm just not going to tempt fate. All right, I've got my 7mm Furls crochet hook. Furls usually has the size right there on the end, and at least for the Odysseys, this is a Furls Odyssey. Isn't it beautiful? This is one of my favorite hooks of all time. Okay, so we're going to start with a slip knot, and then we are going to chain. I'm going to go a couple of stitches bigger than the one that I was wearing in the beginning of the video, just because I don't think it was thick enough. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we've got 15 chained stitches, and now I'm going to start. This pattern is super simple. We are only going to be single crocheting. We're going to have 14 stitches across and 62 rows long. Okay, so when you start out, you skip that first stitch, And there are several ways. You can go just straight into each of these chains right here. What I like to do on scarves, at least, because it makes a cleaner finish, especially if I'm not going to be adding fringe, which you can add fringe if you want to, but here, let me show you. I go through both loops of that chain, and when I do, it just leaves the one on the back. So we're going to make a single crochet, and then we're going to do this on the 14 chains across. And if you're having trouble getting your hook through those 2 loops of the chain, you can always undo the chain and make the chain a little looser. And I did say chain 15 and that there are only going to be 14 single crochets across, and that's because we skip that first chain when we're going in to make this first row of single crochets. Oops. And don't worry if you're not getting it perfect, or if this first row seems like a beast. The first row is the hardest just because you've got to deal with the chain. Oops. And I'm going through both loops right here. If you want to, you can just go through one loop. When I go through one loop, I usually just go through that top loop. But I'm going through both loops this time just because it makes a cleaner, more even finish at the end. But you can definitely just go through one loop. And this yarn is so easy to work with. It's very soft. It's got a very warm, soft, fuzzy feeling. Okay. I knew when I was making it that this chain was going to be a little tight. And here we are. We are meeting again. That's okay. Whoop. I will tell you, for me, it takes a little longer when I'm doing this first row and I'm going through both loops. Wow, this is being so difficult. It should not be that difficult. Okay, there we go. That's because the chain was a little tighter. And like I said, if you're finding you have the problem with the chain being tighter and you were having that problem you were just seeing I was having, you can always, here's a tip, undo that whole chain, go get a hook if you have one, a size larger than you'll be crocheting your project with. Like this is a 7mm. You can go grab a I don't know if they make 7.5mm, maybe an 8mm crochet hook. Or whatever, if you're crocheting a project with a 5 that uses a 5mm crochet hook, go grab a 6mm crochet hook and to make the chain with. That'll make crocheting that first row of your project just a little easier. because chances are if your chain's too tight, it's going to be bunched up at the end. Like on this part, if you're struggling to crochet those first stitches in your first row. So this is what it looks like when you crochet into those 2 loops like I showed you. I'm going to go back just a few stitches so I can show you what it looks like when you crochet with just the 1 loop. Just to show you a little comparison. So 1, 2, see how it's a little bit easier. 3, 4. It's a little bit easier, but it does give a slightly different look. So it just depends what you want to do. Some projects I do the 2 loops. Some projects I just do the 1 loop. But for this one, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be sewing this end to the other end. But I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this method today. Okay, so let's undo these. And I'm going to go back through. Oh my gosh, we're not going to do this again. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! And it really just comes down to what you feel comfortable doing as far as making that first row and which loops you crochet into. Okay, we've got that first row done, and we have 14 stitches across. Now, after that first row, we're going to chain 1, turn your project, and then we're going to single crochet in the top of every stitch across. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And that's what it will look like. Chain 1 and do the same thing again. Crochet 14 across, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so now you have 3 rows. And we're going to continue doing the very same thing until you have 62 rows. Okay, so now we've crocheted our 62 rows and we're going to stitch these together. We're not going to use the needle, we're just going to use a slip stitch. So we've gotten to the end of our row and I chained one, and I'm going to bring these edges together like that, but before we sew them, I'm just going to flip it like that. I'm going to flip it like that, and then so it'll look like that when you've laid it down. And you just flip it once, so you have it together like that, and then you just flip it once. Okay. Now, this will kind of make sense why I did it in the 2 loops before. What you do is you go in that first, you go in that first hump right there, that first little hill, or see how they kind of go all the way across. Oops. So let's see, let's get that out of the way. Go through that first one, and then, oops, let's get this guy out of the way. And then the 2 top loops of that chain. I'm very, very glad right now that the yarn had changed colors so you can really see what I'm talking about. And then you just pull through all those. And remember, you're sewing these 2 pieces together. So go through this top hump and then go through those 2 and slip stitch. Go through that top one, go through those and pull it all the way through. And you just do that all the way across. And remember, this is a slip stitch, so you just pull it all the way through. This isn't to make any new fabric, this is just to sew this seam together. You don't need a needle. Of course, you could slip stitch it together with your needle if you want to, not slip stitch, but sew it together. But I like doing it this way. Okay, now we'll just cut that off and secure it, just tie off. I'm going to get a needle right here and weave in these ends. Weaving in the end, here's how I do it. There's no like specific way to do it. You just weave it in to where it's not visible. What I like to do is go under a couple of inches of stitches and then go back through just a few of the stitches like that. And then, oops, where to put my scissors? And then just cut that off. Next, do the other one. This is kind of hard because it's not as long. I should have left a little bit longer tail, but that's okay. And this is the wrong side, the side that you sewed it together on or stitched it together on. It's the wrong side as opposed to the right side. It's the side, the wrong side is the side that will not be showing. Okay, bring it through there. Holy smokes, there's just a little bit. Okay, when there's just a little bit like that, what I do is, whoops, I go ahead and put my needle through like that. And whoops, I wet my fingers a little bit so I can twist it and try to get it small enough to fit it through my needle. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will get this. The struggle is real, you guys. But see how it's just the eye of the needle sticking out right there? So when you only have a little bit of yarn left, that's my tip. There you go. You're able to pull it through, then just clip that off. And we'll flip it inside out. And you can put that twist really anywhere you want to. There's no absolute, you know, perfect way to do it, just however you want to do it. But let me put it, there's a nice way like right there. I'm going to turn this around so you can see what it looks like on. Okay, the moment of truth is here. We're just going to put this on. This is like a head warmer, ear warmer thing. There you go. Super easy, super simple. And it looks like that. And you can switch it around, you know, to kind of do different things with it. If it's got a stripe, you can fix it however you want to. But the thing is it's super easy, super fast. It took less than an hour to make. If it's cold outside, your ears are going to be warm. And that's the main thing. Or if you've got some quick gifts to make, you know, you could make one of these. There you go. Or do it like that, where the little stripes right there in front. Just however, you can play with it. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to make the scarf to go with it. But I'm going to make it in this color so you guys can make a matching set. And the cool thing about this matching set is you only need the one skein of lollipop yarn. You might need more or less if you use a different kind of yarn. It just depends, but I will put the link for the lollipop yarn in the description, and I will put the link for Yarn Sub, which will show you what other yarns you can get that are very similar to this. Just by feeling it, it feels like Caron Cakes would be very similar to this, just the plain basic Caron Cakes. I'm gonna look it up on Yarn Sub and find out. Okay, you guys, have a wonderful day. Enjoy your ear warmer / headband, and I hope to see some posts of it on social media, on the socials. Put hashtag beginner friendly headband. No, hashtag beginner friendly ear warmer. And that will match this, which is the beginner friendly scarf. I already have a blog post for this. Both of these patterns will be free on my blog. I've already got this one posted on my blog. I'll be doing this one soon. So you guys have a very wonderful day, and I love you guys. Mwah. Bye.